The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022, Season 17, Episode number 90. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Dave and Nick here with me. Amber's out today. Nick, let's start with a 90. What you got?
Tank.
Is that the best you got?
Yeah. They didn't have a lot of 90s.
This time.
They didn't have a lot of 90s in the 80s and 70s. They really didn't start doing 90 till late. How about Jay Ratliff? He was 90.
I like that.
He's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Oof. Scariest player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Ratliff. Well, I don't know what y'all were talking about upstairs. I guess it was on the air from the previous show about fight about a grizzly bear and a gorilla.
I have
and
no
all that.
idea what they were talking
I
about.
don't know either, but Jay Ratliff, I would put him in there. And, I mean, he's one of the scariest players I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
he
kind of
played
helps
that way.
if you're playing defensive tackle. I kind of want you to be scary, right?
I don't think Jay Ratliff was the most scariest 90 though.
Who was?
Alonzo Spellman.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
That didn't take long.
I didn't cover him.
Oh.
Jay Ratliff scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Alonzo Spellman was
Big.
he was big.
You remember the time on the airplane, Nick?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, Alonzo Spellman. And Chris and I, we both saw this.
We were sitting in the back. Back in the days, we used to sit in
Yeah.
the very back.
Mm-hmm.
Spellman literally he was sitting down in his seat and on the plane and he opened the door, but I mean he opened like the what's it called, the cabin overhead bin. He opened it sitting down and closed it.
No, he took out his bag, went through his bag, put it back in, and closed it without getting up.
Never got up.
So everybody out there listening, catch a mental image of this. You're sitting in your seat. Someone reaches up to the overhead, opens it. You know the little thing you pull on.
Opening it is the easiest part.
Then grab your bag, pull it down without it dropping on your head. Look through it, put it back up, close the overhead.
Bet
It was
that
in a
guy.
757 too, so it's up there pretty good.
Not only is he big, that tells you how long his arms were.
I bet
And-
he was in the top percentile in his combine class.
and-
I'm guessing.
He was in the window seat.
No,
I'm
he
kidding.
wasn't.
But that's
Now that would have been a whole different level.
Alonzo Spellman, boy, he had some crazy, and it's sad because he went through some things. I
Yeah.
mean, he was
he
bipolar.
bipolar?
He
Yeah,
was,
I
and
think he's bipolar.
he maybe still is. And there were some incidents there. It was tough for him. And the Cowboy. I mean, there was times where they couldn't get him off the field. One time, he would not sub.
I remember.
Ebenezer Ekibon tells the story they were like, go in there for Zoe, and he goes in there and he's like, I'm not coming out. So then he runs out, and the coaches are yelling at him.
He's like, what do you want me to do,
Yeah.
right? Why don't y'all go get him off the field? How about that?
There was the time where the trainers went into the locker room in Tampa Bay. He's not in the pregame warmups. Where is he? They go in there and he's sitting in his locker with his jersey on backwards. His jersey's on backwards, and he's sitting in his locker, and they're like, "I don't know how to help this guy."
Yeah,
So-
that's tough, man.
Yeah.
He was a good football player.
Yeah, first-round pick
But yeah,
for
he
the
had
Bears,
he had
for
some
the Bears.
things he was having to work with and
But-
deal with. But
How about Tank? I said Tank. And yesterday, 89, I was going to go with Randall Williams. Randall Williams. Remember him?
yeah, I do remember Randall Williams. What
That's
was it?
fastest-
3 how many seconds?
3.5 seconds.
3.5 seconds. He ran that
fastest-
touchdown.
I just think-
Fastest touchdown in NFL
Eagles went
history.
onside kick. Williams got it, ran it in for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I just think the clock operator was eating a hot dog, wasn't ready for it. And but either way,
Now,
3.5
correct me
seconds.
here, because you have a better memory, obviously. The reason why that was really interesting wasn't it the year before when the Eagles started the game with an onside kick, and they got it, and then the next year they tried it again. He recovers it and runs it back. Is that what happened?
No, but
Okay.
that's
Explain it to
your
me.
story's better. But no, it was
Explain it to me.
3 years later.
3 years later. Okay,
2000, the pickle juice game.
Yes,
to start
right.
the season, they went onside kick. They got it. They beat the Cowboys 41-17, whatever. It was a terrible game. It was 100.
Probably the worst game in
ever.
my time covering
and
the
then
Cowboys.
2003, they tried it again onside kick to start the game, and Randall Williams got it and ran it in for a touchdown.
Yep.
And the
So it's
Cowboys
3 years
won.
later.
3 years later.
Same thing.
Exactly.
We've already established
Same thing.
Your perception of time is skewed.
I
a
just
little
put
bit.
it all together.
Sure.
Put it all together
Like
and
Dave,
blend it.
Dave, you've been here, what, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, exactly.
I have the memories. I just don't know where they all fit.
How long
right?
do you think Dave's been here? How many seasons is this for Dave?
If I had to guess, 7.
It's not awful.
Where are you?
No.
9?
How many of you think Amber has been here?
Oh, God. 25.
Oh.
Wow.
It's just, I don't
Calling
know.
her old? Damn.
Hope she's not listening. No. I would guess right around the same time as, a little bit less than you. Probably like 7. 6, 7. Is that right?
3 years after me, I think.
So about 6?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, Rob.
Ever.
This is riveting radio.
This is riveting radio.
They love it, Dave. Every time we do it and you say that,
Okay.
people on Twitter come back and say, we like these old stories.
For some people. For every person that does that, there's somebody in their car right now that's just screaming at us to shut up.
Cowboys play the Eagles this week. They're going to play some of their guys. That's what they're saying. I'm not sure if you really believe that, but they say right now that they're going to play these guys, and they may treat this game like the third preseason game. They're going to get in and out.
Let's go.
So let's get into that. That was on the rundown, but it was farther down. But we'll go ahead and jump into it now since you did it. All right. So Mike McCarthy says yesterday, we need to stay in a rhythm. This is our first time in the playoffs together. We want to go in there as strong as possible with momentum and play style. My question for you guys is, do you think it's important to use the Philly game to build momentum into the playoffs? Because I don't think they really have any right now.
No, I don't.
Where was the momentum on Sunday?
I get it, but I'm
4-game.
asking you the question.
No, they had 4-game winning streak with the best win they've had all year against Washington, and then you wouldn't have known any of that when they played the game.
That's my big thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that you're wrong. That stuff all sounds great. But they just showed me that it doesn't really count for all that much at the end of the day when you kick the ball off, especially if you're playing a good team. And say what you will, the Eagles have turned it around impressively this year, honestly. I think a lot of that's who they've played in the second half of the season. But even if they're great, they're not going to be playing anybody. They've got 12 guys on the COVID list, and they're on a short week, and they know that they're going to have to get ready to play a good team in the playoffs.
Now, just to be clear, the expectation
come
is
back.
the majority of them probably will come back if they're having symptoms, number one. If those symptoms are lessening by Friday, they can be back to play on Saturday.
I bet
because
you-
of the NFL's
Wait.
new protocol.
That's the protocol if they're lessening?
Basically, here's how the protocol goes. You have 5 days where you have to be quarantined, but if your symptoms have lessened, then you can go back and you can play as long as you're not having like fever. But if you are basically the way they said it was if your symptoms are lessening. So for example, if you've got a cough and your cough is better on Friday than it was on Thursday, then you're okay to go back and play.
Okay.
So if you had explosive diarrhea and now it's just diarrhea, it's
Is
fine.
that a symptom of COVID?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is actually.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Where do we go with this?
I don't know. I just think
What are we
think
talking
that
about?
it's so weird about lessening. It's lessening.
Well,
you have a sore throat,
yeah.
kinda. All right, you're in.
You're in. You're good.
That goes back to my whatever the protocols are though. Like if Fletcher Cox still feels kind of sick on Friday, even if he feels well enough to play, how many snaps are you going to make him play? Like what you going to put him through that in a game that really does? Philly has less to play for than Dallas does.
Yeah, true. They're already in.
They can't they can't get higher than 6. They're going to go play a division champion in a warm weather city.
Yeah.
Like they're either going to be in Tampa, LA or Arizona. So like it's not even like you can avoid a cold weather situation
Or outside chance Dallas.
Or can they play?
They can't play Dallas? I thought there was an
think
outside
they can
chance they
play
could play Dallas.
Dallas. Philly.
If Dallas gets up to the third or the
You're
second
right.
seed.
Okay, no, there are 2 scenarios where
Yeah, I think
Dallas
it's
could
out.
host
It's a
Philly
long
as the
shot,
second. Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, again, another indoor stadium. Like
Yeah.
you're playing a good team indoors or in warm weather. Like they just don't have a lot to play for. And so even if some of these guys come back from COVID,
Momentum.
Absolutely, sure. Which goes back to my point that like. I mean, I don't want to sit everybody. You can't sit everybody anyway. You only have 48. I love.
was one of the points,
I
yeah.
love Mike McCarthy's transparency there, just sort of breaking it down for maybe people that don't think about it that minutely. You only have 48 players. If you just sit 11 starters, then you're just decimating the rest of the game in terms of like who's got to do special teams, who's got to play how many snaps.
Unless you put 12 players on COVID.
Sure. Oh, I thought about
Slide
that.
people up.
I'm just saying you could definitely do that. You throw all your practice squad guys up to play this game, and then.
So this is a week where maybe you do your test on Thursday. Or Friday.
I'm just saying. I'm saying maybe that the Eagles because you get COVID replacements for all of
When
them.
I saw the announcement, that flashed through my brain.
Yeah.
Like
Like, are they trying
I'm
to-
not going to accuse them of doing that, but I was like, a lot of veteran, Rodney McLeod's on the list, Fletcher Cox is on the list. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. But I don't know. The offense needs to play some snaps. I get that. You definitely don't want them just absolutely taking the week off. But I have a hard time buying this momentum thing when they had all the momentum in the world on their side going into Sunday and they looked as disjointed as they ever have.
I thought about this morning. The NFL schedule makers keep doing this, and it's not working. So, every year we look at the schedule and we see this last game of the year at Philly or whatever, and you're like, well, this game could be. I can remember 3 now in the last 10 years, and they haven't meant anything. And it's been bad football every time, and this one's going to be the 4th. Mm-hmm. I mean, remember when Stephen McGee had to play, and they had wrapped up, and the Cowboys won that game, and then in 2016, Mark Sanchez played, and Romo played, and everyone sat, and it boosted the Eagles to the Super Bowl for the next year. That's what they say.
17's one of the worst football games I've ever watched in my life.
And it's and anytime the Cowboys are shutting out a team through 3 quarters, and then Todd Archer looks over and starts flipping through. Like, when's the last time they had a shutout? It's like 6-0 over the Eagles in 2017.
6-0.
And you're like,
Bryce Butler.
does this count?
I think Bryce Butler scored that touchdown like pretty late, right? Like it was late in the game.
It was a bad game. You remember
And
that?
Dan Bailey missed the extra point, if I remember correctly. That's why it was 6. Yeah, Bryce didn't score until it was early 4th, but so we didn't get our first score until the 4th quarter. Bailey misses the extra point. Wow, it was a 99-yard drive. I don't remember that.
I don't either. But they were the good team. They had already wrapped everything up, and so here we are. Both teams kind of wrapped things up.
That game was the epitome of Jason Garrett saying, "I'll be damned if I'm going 8-8. I'm not doing it," because they finished 9-7. They were out of the playoffs. They had lost to Seattle the week before, and Jason Garrett was like, "You're not putting another 8-8 on my resume. Screw you guys."
Not yet. Not until
3 years
two
later.
years later. Yeah.
All right, let's
years later, you're right,
let's
I'm
go ahead. Oh, actually, one other question I have for you guys on that. Now, knowing that, and Jerry has said it, Steven said it, Mike has said it, they all expect they're going to play. They say play to win, all that kind of stuff. But we all know that in this kind of scenario, there still might be situations where you look at certain players and you're like, they need a week to not play because of injuries that they're trying to nurse. Who are some of those guys? Who are some of the guys you could still, if they're still saying that they're playing to win, that you could see them saying, hey, this is a week that we really do need to sit this guy?
I would love to sit both of the running backs. I don't know if that's going to happen, especially if Dak's going to play. Like, do you send Corey Clement and maybe Ito Smith out there to protect Dak Prescott? I don't know. But
Corey Clement knows the Eagles.
Yeah, good point.
He's an Eagle.
At the very
Was an
least,
Eagle.
I would like to see a limited role for Zeke and Tony Pollard. Yeah. Like, just get them off their feet, give them a week to get right.
Yeah.
Tyron Smith is another one. Going back to the COVID thing, no idea how severe his symptoms are, but maybe give Keanu Neal a week to just not be out there running around short of breath or whatever might be bothering him.
Are we sure about Keanu Neal even being
Back?
available?
No.
I don't know what the new rules are with players that are vaccinated or unvaccinated or
I
whatever.
think, well, for unvaxxed, it's the same, right? So it would
think
be
it
10
is. It's
the
days.
same still.
Well, I thought it was, is it not 5? Is it
Even
10?
for unvaccinated? Yeah, because Carson Wentz played.
Yeah, I think it's 5
Yeah,
for
that's
all
true.
players. I think for all players it's 5, and then it's a matter of what are your symptoms.
Yeah.
Like, do you still have symptoms? Are the symptoms lessening? Like, it's that kind of stuff that's the equation now. So I would assume he has a possibility of being back unless he's like really experiencing some really tough symptoms. I would assume he has a possibility to be back.
DeMarcus Lawrence, again,
that's the one.
Not somebody that you're just going to take out of the game, but all of these guys. I want everybody to play. I just don't see the benefit of playing like 75 snaps.
Do you
That's all.
think in 2018 when they went up to New York in a game that they'd already wrapped things up and Zeke didn't play, but Dak did, and that was one of those games where, they rallied to win, I think 36-35. And there was a lot of people that think that helped them the next week,
Maybe.
at least for Dak, in winning that game against Seattle. That was one where I think momentum maybe did help because, Dak drove down and they won
Played
the
a
game.
great game, yeah. One of the best throws of his career.
Easily.
I get it. I like I said, I don't think it's silly. I guess I just make light of it because you didn't see it in practice at all the last 2 weeks.
Their momentum didn't help them.
Giving them a chance to play and game plan against an opponent. Again, this is a team that's going to the playoffs. You can't just completely write the Eagles off as a bad opponent. I get, there's value in that, and that's why I do think they should play.
Isn't momentum too? It's not just the result, because obviously you look at a game where you score 56 points and you're like, man, that must have been a really great game. But there was still some of the same lingering things that we've seen from this offense that weren't quite right that have persisted, right? So is momentum more maybe figuring out how to get some of those things going? How do you get more rhythm in your offense? How do you get more? Can you sustain drives without killing yourselves with penalties? Like, maybe that's more of the momentum that you're looking for that you can get maybe out of this game that you hadn't gotten in the last, I don't know how many weeks.
How about the benefit of giving your workhorse running backs who are beat up 8 days to not get pounded? I mean, that could factor into that stuff.
Sure.
I think if I could fix anything with this Cowboys offense right now, it would be the running game, just to get it to a level of competency where you feel like you can average north of 4 yards a carry and flirt with 120, 130, maybe even 150 yards on the day. I mean, that again, like I hate to take credit away from Dak because I do think he is good enough to carry it, but you don't want him to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
No, you don't want them to. Like this team is at its best when it's pick your poison. When it's fine, clog our throwing lanes. We're gonna run for 5.5 yards a carry on you. Stack the box. We're gonna throw it all over the field. They haven't had that on a consistent basis since the bye week.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, I did want to talk a little bit about that. I actually want to dive a little bit deeper into that. Which do you think has been the biggest problem for this offense, the running game or the passing game, and which do you think has a better chance of getting back on track? We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
All right, Cowboys Nation, head to the Pro Shop. Step up your game for the playoffs. Score some classics like jerseys, T-shirts, hats, plus exclusive collections and unique accessories when you visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's talk a little bit about the offense. I want to dive into the running game and passing game as two different parts. We've talked a lot about Dak and the struggles of their passing game, Dak, the receivers, the offensive line, keeping people off Dak, all that stuff, right? I noticed something interesting, though, when I started looking at the rushing totals for the Cowboys this year. Against what I think we all agree, and you can correct me if you think this is wrong, but against what I think are the three toughest opponents the Cowboys have played, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Arizona, they have had their three worst rushing performances. Against Tampa Bay, they only had 60 yards on the ground. Against Kansas City, they had 82. Against Arizona, they had 45. Not very good days on the ground against those teams. New England's another one, but they were able to get 122 yards. Pretty decent day of rushing that day. My question for you is when you think about what they're doing right now offensively, throwing the ball, and then what they're doing running the ball, which is a bigger concern for you, the rushing game or the passing game?
The run game, easily.
The run game.
Without question. I mean, even Sunday it wasn't great. Like, Dak had some accuracy issues. There were some drop balls. Miscommunication, all that good stuff. But, like, it's not like they couldn't throw the ball. And it's the classic case and they keep saying it because teams keep doing it. They're clogging the back end. They're keeping a lid on it. And, like, every week we ask the same questions because every week the Cowboys can't shake them out of those looks. I mean, Dak averaged 6 yards per attempt, which isn't not good, but it's passable. I mean, Kyler was at 7, so even that's low. I mean, this just wasn't a game where you were winging the ball all over the yard. He's had 3 touchdowns, got a rating of 106. If he doesn't fumble there, it's probably even better. Like, the passing offense, and the week before obviously speaks for itself. He did whatever he wanted to as a passer against Washington. I don't like. It's been fine. It has not been complemented by a worthwhile running game. That is the problem.
I think teams are kind of on to Kellen Moore a little bit. I think that they figured out his tendencies on what he likes to call in certain situations, and I think one of the biggest problems is first down running. They're trying to establish on first down, and there's just too many times it's 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10, and then that changes everything. I think that they're just not getting a good feel there about when to run and when to kind of catch teams in these looks. And when it's 1st and 10 and they're running, they're just not having success. I think it's setting them back.
Do you think part of that is, and they've talked about this, that teams are basically, and the Cardinals talked about it after the game. Buda Baker was talking about it. Just throwing so many different disguised looks at the Cowboys to where they really can't adapt at the line of scrimmage. They got to run it, and they got to. They got to run their play, whatever the play is. They can't really adapt and say, "Hey, we see this look, let's change it." Because the moment they do that, the disguise changes, and now you got something different. And I was watching the safeties in this game. They did a bunch of, "I'll show you too high," and at the last minute somebody's shooting down, or "I'll show you that one guy's down," and at the last minute somebody's shooting out. Like, they did that throughout the entire game, and I think that may be part of it. And they tried to use tempo to help them. That's not something you can do when you're not effective at actually keeping the ball going. So Dallas just really doesn't have an answer for it right now.
No, I mean, and the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion, and everyone will change. I mean, but I'm talking about just to go win one game. Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning to me is the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion. But it's hard to say that with the rings. But I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks to ever play.
Yeah.
Watching him last night, did y'all watch him?
Yeah. It
was absolutely gold, by the way.
Awesome.
I mean, Snoop Dogg that was awesome, by the way. But
I was watching the Mavs.
The Mavericks?
Wait,
who? You were
I was at the game, so.
Oh. Okay.
So Mr. Kyle was there, and so was Michael Parsons. We made a
who'd you say?
Night. Michael Parsons.
Who was the first word you said?
Kyle Yeomans.
Oh,
yeah,
just
Kyle
in the same sentence.
Mr. Kyle.
Just in the same sentence as Kyle and Michael Parsons.
Yeah, we were all three of us were there, so it was good.
Kyle said you had better seats than him.
Were you on the floor?
It was pretty nice.
EVP perks, baby.
It was pretty nice.
He didn't mention that. Didn't say anything about that.
Well, no, literally.
Glossed over that.
5 o'clock yesterday evening, I get a phone call from my boss. He's like, "You want to go to the game?" I'm like, Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're off and rolling. So
nice.
That's
fun.
That's Dallas in a nutshell right there. Is like, where are the seats? Like, I don't know. The AAC is really far away. The Mavs are kind of mediocre. Oh, courtside. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's
well,
go.
you can't pass up that opportunity.
No, of course not.
Literally, you're sitting on the opponent's bench.
Yeah,
like
but
you're sitting there in their
I would
huddle.
have done the same thing.
Awesome.
I'm just saying, if I told you they were second deck behind the basket, you might have been like, I live kind of far away.
I'm guessing I would not have made that happen.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I would not have made that happen.
If your boss says, "Hey, let's go to the game," you're probably going.
Well,
You
no,
probably
he was
didn't.
just like, you want some tickets. He didn't go. He was just like, you want the tickets.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
no.
So,
No, I would have done the same thing. I'm just saying that is a very Dallas experience of like,
I said,
where are the seats?
I'm a ticket snob.
Yeah.
And I said,
No doubt.
I watched Alabama Cincinnati the other day in the fourth deck up there.
Yeah.
And the whole time going to the game, I was kind of like, we'll see. I was just watching on the video board. I had a great time. It was. I mean, it was a great seat. There's really not a bad seat there.
I'm spoiled after working here.
Yeah.
Like I usually don't want to deal with traffic. I usually don't want to have to deal with security and lines. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff because we don't have to deal with it in our normal jobs. So going to a live game for me is not a real treat most of the time. This is that was a treat. Like that's Nick, you've had that experience.
Oh yeah.
That is a
Mavs
treat.
won, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, killed them. And we'll talk about this off there, but I'm all of a sudden not as much of a Luka fan. God, he complains so much.
Much.
It reminds me of Tim Duncan. Like that's what I hated about Tim Duncan. Always complaining to the refs. Always.
Well, I don't know. He does whine a lot, but that's just smart. Like you got to work the refs.
I get it. It just kind of just bothers me after a while.
There's like 6 plays that they've even found where he's doing it during the play. He's given up layups. He's not even giving up on the play because
I'm not defending him. It's annoying. I'm just saying like most of the good players in the NBA seem like they whine to the refs a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this quick little
thing. Who'd they play? Mavs?
No, they played Nuggets.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting little thing, and it reminded me of this team, the Cowboys. We were sitting there and we're listening to Popeye Jones because he was playing. He was the coach for Denver last night. I assume their coach is out on COVID. I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know why he wasn't there. But they're in their huddle, and if you watch the game, like they were probably getting jobbed a little bit by the refs. Like you could say that. Yeah. But they were like livid. Their bench was going crazy because of all these calls and missed calls. And at one point, he's like, I know they're in their huddle. He's like, I know the refs are effing us, but you got to figure it out. And I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And by the way,
this applies to my job.
But the point is, this is every team in every sport. Like you're gonna have games where you're gonna feel like the refs are against you. Like that's just a part of it.
Yeah.
And you got to figure it out. I think his point was the same point that the Cowboys need to figure out at some point. Like stop complaining about that. And you got to figure it out. Just know it's a part of it.
You know, when we were in Washington and we were sitting next to the stat crew, and there's that one lady's job. Her only job is to say, shotgun.
Yeah.
That's her only job. Yeah. There are, when you sit that close and you sit in how many coaches there are, the annoying coaches are the ones behind the bench.
Yes.
There's one guy's job is to wait for the shot clock to get down to like 7 when you're on offense and then just yell it out the whole time. Just 6, 5, like that's his whole job. Is just me. Then there's another job of, hey, that's 6 possessions in a row for so-and-so. He needs to come out. I mean,
we were honestly convinced at one point that all those coaches over there were just screaming random things just to confuse people. Because it was like everybody's just saying crazy stuff like, oh, he stepped out. And he was like 3 feet from the line. What are we talking about? But it's like, it's crazy over there. But it was a really fun experience. Awesome. But I missed Snoop and Peyton.
So I totally.
Oh, right.
The reason why I said that.
Jesus.
The reason why I said that is Peyton Manning actually talked about that last night. And he said when teams, when a safety, is sitting there, like showing blitz, like you almost have to think the opposite of, because that he's not just going to do it the whole time. So when they're showing that in your head, when you're before the snap, he's going to be back. It's almost the opposite of what you're seeing. And so, but then I'm sure there's times when the guy sits there and then he does blitz or whatever. So it's all about a cat and mouse game a little bit. But if Peyton Manning at times can be confused, then they all can be. That was kind of my point to that. But yeah. The Manning broadcast was Aaron Rodgers was great.
He's always good on there.
Snoop was good.
It's really a good.
I mean, Goodell was like.
It's one of the worst games I've watched this season, and they made it entertaining anyway. Yeah. They're great.
Call me coach again. That's what
Goodell said.
Goodell said that. Call me coach again.
Yeah. Yeah, Goodell wasn't the best guess, but Snoop was. He said, I wish I was a Manning. He's like, can y'all adopt me?
Oh, that's funny. Shoot. Rodgers did a whole thing about how because if you know anything about Pittsburgh, like they have a dialect and a language all their own, and he was like, if you can understand Mike McCarthy on the headset, you can understand anything.
That's right.
He gets going, and it made me laugh because like even I understand him, but he's that Pittsburgh guy. Like he just talks that way, and it's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. Pittsburgh is a place where, I mean, everyone probably knows somebody from Pittsburgh, and it's different. I've only been there a couple times, but it seems like it's one of those places. This might be most hometowns or whatever, but you could get hit on the road and by a car and get out and be like, what the hell? You're like, well, you're from Pittsburgh? I'm from Pittsburgh. Like, all right, let's work this out. All right, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like
there's kind of a brotherhood of people that live in Pittsburgh. Yes,
I get you, and that might be a Louisiana thing. That might be a Houston.
I think it's probably everywhere. Like most places, I shouldn't say
most
everywhere,
places
but
where
most
it's
places,
just kind of
there's probably a kinship of you're from this area. I'm from this area.
It's like I get you because I know what you've gone through and all that.
Experience.
I think most hometowns are like that, but Pittsburgh maybe is ratcheted up a little bit. It's almost tribal with them, just how fiercely protective and.
So why does McCarthy give Rich such a hard time?
Because he's talked about this before.
They're buddies like that.
Well, he's like, where I'm from, you just give people hell. Like that's how you communicate.
That's a part of the love.
I identify with that. That's my love language too. So when McCarthy said that, I was like, okay, I get you. Yeah. Like you're gonna tease the people that you care about and give them crap. Like that's what you do.
All right. So real quick, we got to get back to the talk of this running game. How do you fix it? Any ideas on how you can fix it?
I'm not saying this will work, but my best idea is to give the backs a week off. I'm serious.
Yeah. Back to the original point, right?
Get them explosive again.
Yeah. Everything else isn't working. They had all their linemen at their disposal. Arizona was injured. It's not like they just had all these. They didn't have the Monstars out there. That was a compromised defense. And more time on task, like having your starting five together, maybe a little bit more could help. But in terms of radical moves that they haven't done before, getting Tony and Zeke some time off would be mine.
That's me cheering.
Oh,
for what? That?
No, for what Chris Beam just sent me.
Oh, what he saying?
Go ahead, Chris. No.
Well, you go ahead. You can announce it.
Introducing the Black College Football Hall of Fame class of 2022.
Did my guy get in?
Mr. Nate.
There we go.
Newton.
There we go.
Nice.
Get in, Big Nate.
There we go.
That's awesome. Ben Coates, Donald Driver, John, Big Train Moody. I bet he was good.
Yeah.
Morris Brown College, Big Train Moody. Nate Newton, Sammy White, Roscoe Nance, and Coach William Billy Nix. But Nate Newton, Florida A&M.
Nate.
Big Nate.
Let's go, Big
Congratulations to Big Dog.
My guy.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I got a couple of news and note items I want to talk to you guys about. I want to talk about Michael Gallup a little bit. Also, an interesting thing that Coach McCarthy said yesterday about replay assists. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. We're turning your living room into your office and your gym. We're teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/Cowboys.
Back to the break.
Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life. Starts at just $20. You can get exclusive benefits. You can figure out you get your fan pack, a lot more. DallasCowboys.com/United.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Man, this has been a Tuesday show. We have been all over the map on this show, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed some of the storytelling on today's show.
I managed to get explosive diarrhea in the show twice.
Wait,
now.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
So speaking of your memory being bad, you don't even remember.
No, I remember that. I thought the way he said it was like he's having a problem over there himself.
Oh, no.
He said, I managed to get explosive diarrhea on the show twice. And I'm like, are you okay? What are we doing? But anyway, let's get back to it. Michael Gallup.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk about Michael Gallup. He caught the touchdown pass in the game against the Arizona Cardinals. He hurts his knee. We find out later he's out for the season with an ACL tear. Obviously, the big question, how does this affect his status as a free agent this year?
Well, first of all, the Cowboys have a track record with this. It didn't happen a lot. Yeah. It happened with Barry Church. I talked to Barry about this just the other day, and he goes, "Yeah, they lowballed me." Well, of course they lowballed you, but you took it because you're sitting there with the torn Achilles, and so that's that. Now, a torn ACL is a little bit different situation.
In today's world, torn ACL is not a huge deal.
He'll come back and all that. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm calling the agent now, and I'm like, let's work on this. Let's do a 1-year deal. Let's do a 2-year deal. 2 years, $10 million. Not sure exactly what they would want to do, but I would try to sign him right now.
If you're Michael Gallup's agent, do you do that? Or if you're Michael Gallup, do you do that?
Well, I mean, that's why you're doing it. That's the decision that he has to have. He's like, do I want to bet on myself and say, no, I'll be fine? Because what is the free agent market going to look like for him as he goes and visits people with crutches? And how does that work? Is he going to get the money he's going to get?
I'll take it even one step further. Let's think of it from the standpoint of the production that he's had this year, last year, throughout his career. Thinking about the ACL and assuming that teams look at it like, man, ACLs these days, guys come back, he'll be fine. And they're just looking at the production. Is he a guy that you think is a coveted free agent pickup for a team?
It's so hard to answer because there's so many moving parts. I mean, for starters, let's look at the market. Like Devontae Adams is going to set the market one way or the other. Allen Robinson's out there. Chris Godwin also tore his ACL on the heels of a much better season. That's not necessarily Mike's fault. He was hurt. And that's the brutal thing in all of this is that you could this is statistically Mike's worst season of his career. I mean, he finishes with 35 catches for 445 and 2.
Does that affect him, the fact that he missed so much time this year with 2 different injuries?
I mean, all of this stuff is going to affect him. I don't think teams are like, oh, he's injury prone, he can't play, but you didn't put all of that on tape that your arrow's not pointed up that you're like ascending into this category where you're worth all of this money. So yeah, I mean, I think I said a few weeks ago that I thought he could get somewhere between like $10 and $15 million a year, and now I would guess it's somewhere between like 6 and 12, just depending on what's. But it's impossible to know, and it's Mike's preference too. Maybe he wants to sign a 1-year, $6 to $8 million prove-it deal so he can blow it out of the water and get something better next year. Maybe he wants to sign a deal here with the Cowboys. I mean, it's partially up to him, not completely, but you can't predict that type of stuff.
I think he's about an 8 to $10 million a year receiver before this injury. That's what I think he is, and I kind of disagree. I think that's a little high on the numbers, but that's because we're going off of what we think and where he is, where it's all projection on. Because I think if he's up into the 12 to 15, that's probably somebody's number one. I just don't think he's a number one anywhere. I don't think there's any.
Is that true though? I mean, the market is changing drastically. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Like the numbers for receivers are going up. I mean,
well, okay, but look at it though. How many receivers make $15 million a year?
Okay, well,
Can you do that?
I'll tell you this right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Because you need to get to 25 or 30 for that to be right.
I mean, that's
what I'm saying. He's not a number one receiver, and I don't think he's going. I don't think a team will say, you know what, Michael Gallup's our guy, because I don't believe he is that type of guy. I don't think he is. I think he is a really, really good number 2 guy, and you need that. I think you need a number 2.
There's 17 receivers making more than $15 million a year right now.
How many?
17.
Oh,
that's my point.
Wow.
And Adams is going to reset it. Chris.
But all those guys, you expect all those guys are number ones.
But
right?
what point is that? I mean, are you making the point, or did I make the point?
No, I'm
because there's 32 teams in the league. So I mean, if 17 guys are making that, then that means there's 15 number 1 receivers that are making less than that.
Are they any good?
Is Michael Gallup a number 1 for any team? Go through any team in the league and say he would be the best receiver on that team. Pittsburgh?
There's probably a few.
There's probably a few.
Pittsburgh? Would he be better than Claypool or Johnson? Deontay?
Probably.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's at least as good.
Fair. That's fair.
Maybe
I mean, I'm just trying.
I'm thinking about the Jets. What do they have on their wide receiving core? Like, is there anybody better?
Corey Davis.
I don't think there's anybody I would say is better. So, I mean, yes, he could be the best receiver on that team.
The point I'm trying to make.
Congratulations! I mean, what have you won?
What have we won?
You get to go to the Jets.
Tim Patrick is an $11 million a year receiver, which he's having a great year.
Yeah.
He beat Trayvon Diggs here. He's not like a number 1 like this great receiver.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar got $22 million over 2 years to go to New England as one of their 5 guys.
Okay. You're right then. If that's the case, then you're right. He's not an $8 million guy. He's going to get 12. He's going to get that.
Now it's hard to say now because of the injury.
And the Raiders used to do this for years. They would sign a defensive tackle, or they'd sign a player to some ridiculous deal that everybody in the league would go off of, and it's like that guy. Okay, but that sucks. You know what I mean? So does Nelson Aguilar getting $11 million a year, does that make the point for agents to say, well, we need more than that, or do other teams look at it and say, okay, that was bad. That was a bad move.
I mean, it still becomes part of the negotiation.
Yeah, now
the teams are going to argue that, but the agent's going to probably stick to the fact of this is the market.
Michael Gallup said something after what game was that last year, where he had 100 something, maybe San Francisco, Philly. He had 100
in the first half,
100 yards,
and he was like, "I was good. I was done for the day."
He was like, you didn't have any in the second half, or maybe little. He's like, well, I mean, everybody had to get theirs. I mean, I got some, and then it was time for everyone else. That right there still sticks out to me because it's like most receivers aren't that way. I'm sorry, they're not built that way.
But I like my receivers like that, though.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying though that right there makes me think he loves his guys. He wants Amari to have. He wants CD. It's not all about that, and so that might factor into all this too. And also, who's your rehab guy? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to go in the middle and go over here now, or do you want to rehab here?
You get the same care somewhere else.
I don't think. I think if they handle this the right way, maybe a 1-year deal. And say we'll revisit it or something, or a 2-year deal with some incentives that say if you do this and this and get back to yourself, then boom, it's a $9 million a year, but it can be up to 12 or 14 if you hit these marks.
Yes.
I completely agree. I wish I had said this at the top. And it's all fair. It's a valid and it's an interesting conversation. But just on a personal level, I just hope it works out the best for him, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Because this industry, and again, everything we just talked about was justified, but it can be very callous. Like, he's probably on pain meds because his ACL's torn in half right now, and he's in the contract year, homegrown guy. To your point, he's had a fantastic attitude about this whole thing. I think he's one of the nicest guys on the team. It's 2 years, and I thought about this. It's 2 years in a row where somebody who's done it the right way every step of the way has really gotten screwed by this whole thing. And I mean, nobody's Dak. I mean, nobody's going to cry for Dak because he was on a $31 million franchise tag, but that still sucks. To have it all come down to this final year and you're out there to try to prove your worth and it ends like that, it just sucks. It had a very happy ending for Dak, and I hope it has a similarly good ending for Mike as well.
Yeah, because that didn't change the Cowboys in one bit. to sign him regardless of what had happened there. And I don't now, but we do have to ask that, 'cause everything Dave said is right. Everything he said. I mean, I love his attitude. I love everything about it. And quiet as kept here. He's probably, I thought it was going to be CD, but it hasn't been. CD has been Oxnard, MVP, but he hasn't been that guy in the season.
Yeah,
he hasn't been that I'm better than you. I'm going to go up in Des-like plays.
Yeah.
Hasn't done that. Michael Gallup is the best contested catcher on the team, and if it's anywhere close to the sideline, he's going to get it. Even if he tears his ACL in the middle of the play, he's going to catch it.
And he's going to hold on to it, yeah.
He tore it on the way up for that ball.
And caught that
That's
ball.
Nuts. Yeah, we probably didn't give him enough
but,
credit for that.
Okay. All that being said, let's say he is a 10 to 12 million a year guy. He can't be here.
Well, but here's what I would do if I were
Cedric
the
Wilson's
Cowboys.
going to play like that.
Well, if I were the Cowboys, here's how I would look at it. If there was a way for me to, even if I paid a little bit of a premium to do it for 1 year, I would do a 1 to 2 year deal on him, because what I want to see is, where does Amari shake out a year or two from now? Because you might end up in a situation where your two receivers 2 years from now are Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. I don't think I'm ready to make that decision now, but give me another year or two, and maybe I am.
Well,
and so I would kind of want to hold on to him if I could for the short term, if I could get him to do a short-term deal, just so I could see how that all pans out before I make a long-term decision.
On that list that you're looking at, and you're right about that. You got CD. I mean, the Amari. That you have to answer that question before you get to some of these other ones. So, and also then you have to go. It's like, I feel like the second question is Michael Gallup. The first question is, what's the long-term thing with Cooper? Okay, let's flip down to the third question. What does Cedric Wilson get on the open market, who's also a free agent?
That's a wonderful question.
Because Nelson Aguilar,
$4 or $5 million a year.
That's what I would have said 4 minutes ago. But after hearing some of this stuff, I don't think Cedric Wilson's a $4 million a year guy.
Well, I think if there's a team that's negotiating with his agent for a deal, I think what they're going to probably point out is, when he had an opportunity to be moved up the depth chart, he didn't really deliver in that game. What was that? What game was that earlier this year when they had CD and Amari out, and he didn't really deliver?
Kansas City.
Yeah, he didn't really deliver
And
there. So
then
now, by the way,
Thanksgiving.
There were other issues going on as well.
He delivered in 8 games when Michael wasn't available.
As the third
right,
guy.
So,
As a third.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's my point.
That's what he's
That's my
saying,
point.
yeah.
So the argument will be, he is a great third receiver. He might even be able to be a pretty good number 2. He's certainly not a number 1, and he can't be relied on in the instance of injury to necessarily step up and do that either on a short-term basis. So that all being said, you pay him, but you don't pay him like he's a number 2, like a solid number 2.
Yeah,
probably.
but he leads the team in quarterback rating.
He does. Fair. Fair.
And I joke with that, but his versatility.
He's got a nice arm, though. He does have a nice arm.
He can throw that ball.
He's got a nice
I mean,
arm.
He was like All-State in high school.
Yeah, he's got a nice arm.
Yeah, and he
chuck it
even
out
said after the game, he was like, about Pollard, he's like, I could have let him a little bit more there, and then he would have scored, but, he just wants to make sure he catches it.
Love it.
Which is smart, too. I mean, like, he's wide open.
Yeah.
And make sure he catches it, number one.
That's all I care about in that instance,
Yeah.
when you got somebody other than the quarterback throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Just get it to him.
And we've seen it twice now. Minnesota was one, and it's the angle that we are sitting at in the press box, and the way he throws it across the field. It's just like that pass that he threw to CeeDee Lamb in that Minnesota game was one of the best throws. I mean, that's one of the best throws we've seen all year by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are receivers who throw it and just kind of pray that it gets where it's supposed to. Then there are guys like Cedric. And Dez was that way, too. They only asked him to throw once. But when Dez threw he had a rocket. It looked like a quarterback was throwing.
Yeah, he's got a big arm.
If we would have said this a week ago, I would have said the same thing. I'm re-signing Cedric Wilson before I'm re-signing Gallup. And obviously I know that it's going to be cheaper. But I really feel like Cedric and Dak have a really good relationship. And I think we've seen it. We're starting to see it. I think that touchdown was another example of that the other day, just kind of knowing where to be and where, trusting him in the offense on when plays break down of where the guy's going to be. I think you just need Swiss Army knife players like that, and so I'm going to try to re-sign Cedric before Gallup, and that would have been my answer even before the injury.
Yeah, it's just hard to gauge Cedric's contract value.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. I don't even feel like I can take a stab at that.
So all that being said, there's no way that they're going to draft my guy out of Arkansas in the first round, Traylon Burks. I really want that, but I don't see that happening.
I mean,
you have so many other issues.
For sure, but nobody saw CD falling that far either. But I mean, I think you're right, just in the sense that in this case, they will have made a decision in free agency about somebody. And
I know this doesn't need to be draft talk, but we've talked about everything else, so why not?
We got a grab bag show today.
It's got to be. They've got to draft on the offensive line, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, first round.
Honestly, I think they need to remake their offensive line this coming off.
I'm taking the best guard or center in the draft, and I've said this before.
Yep.
You're getting good value in the 20s or 30s or wherever you're picking. I don't know. But I mean, I just think you're going to get even center. I think if you can get a guy like that to upgrade, maybe it's an offensive tackle.
I was going to say if a tackle's there
could be.
and there's good depth at the tackle position, I wouldn't be against that either.
It could be. I think it's time to get stronger and younger.
No, I completely agree. I'm chuckling just because I'm the draft nerd, and I'm like, well, you don't pigeonhole yourself in January. You wait and see.
I said guard, tackle, or center.
Okay.
No, I know. I mean, there could be a corner that falls.
There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. I've been saying this for a while. I just think that this offensive line needs a remake. I think they got issues on the
Let me ask you this, though, and he's only played a little bit. Has Kelvin Joseph done enough where, let's say, corner is the best spot you say you pick 27th, I don't know. Let's just say that. If a corner is there, is he done enough where you're thinking we're good here? Or is corner always going to be a need?
I think it just depends, and I don't say that to cop out, but if some amazing corner, if you're in a CD situation where you can't believe this guy fell to you, you take him. But Anthony Brown's still under contract, Jordan Lewis is still under contract, Kelvin and Nashawn Wright just got here. Obviously, feel good about Diggs. That's not a situation where I'm just circling in red Sharpie like
you were last year, probably.
Right,
yeah,
absolutely. But again, if some stud out of whatever, if Georgia's guy, I'm sure they have a guy. I don't know. If some great guy falls to you, then do whatever.
Frankly, there's no position on this team that I'm like, nah, I can't take that guy. I'm good. I just think every position is upgradable right now. And that's not to say they got bad talent. I'm just saying there's no position where I'm like, I can't take a guy at this position.
How about I don't know where he fell. I think he fell in the 18-20 range. Najee Harris from Pittsburgh. I took him last year.
Yeah.
Running back like that. Say
works.
You're sitting.
Although I hear what some people say about him. They're like, he doesn't have that breakaway speed. Now, he played a heck of a game last night, and he's had a good season this year.
But any back house from 40 yards.
Yeah, right. But that's the knock on him. People are like, he doesn't have that kind of speed. I'm a believer in the fact that I look at the production, so I would take him. Absolutely, I would take him.
I mean, people are always going to say that you can get. If your offensive line's in check, then your third or fourth round running back is going to be, good and comparable and all that kind of stuff too.
Tony will be in a contract year next year.
Yeah. You want to talk about uniforms? I mean, we haven't talked about that.
No, it's time to call it a day.
Okay. Uniforms are looking good though.
I'm sure everybody's upset that they lost in the color rush. I feel like for everybody that was excited about the color rush, a lot of people were upset that they.
So don't wear that when you play Arizona in 2 weeks.
No, they're going to wear the American flag stripes in the playoffs.
Oh, God.
Get ready.
I hope not.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
I'm
whoever's at home worried, I'm kidding.
Because that means that we're going to get hijacked onto our timelines on Twitter. Will get hijacked because people are going to be talking about it.
Don't be surprised if the Cowboys are playing Monday night.
Are you talking about because of Jerry?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Oh,
I said this yesterday. What did Jerry say?
It was just he didn't
very subtle.
It was very subtle. But if you were paying attention, because he was talking about the Saturday night game in Philly, and he was like, "And this will give us more than a week to get ready for our playoff game." And I was like, "Okay, so you're not expecting to play on Saturday?"
No, not expecting to play on Saturday, and Monday night. Could be the thing they could have.
I thought that too. I was like,
they could have 11 days.
Okay, but then they're on a short week if they win after the wild card game.
Yeah, that means you have to go back to Sunday in the divisional game.
Yeah. I hate that.
Do you want one less day to have to maybe go to Green Bay?
They're not going to Green Bay.
You believe in that?
I will believe that when not for the
case.
divisional round, maybe for the NFC Championship game, but. You and I have been here more than 20 years. We've never seen an NFC Championship game.
True.
So I'm not believing that we will be in a championship game until I'm there.
Shoot, if you talk to anybody in the fan base, it's one and done. So
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll start getting into Cowboys versus Eagles. We'll have Bucky Brooks join us, talk about the Eagles offense versus the Dallas defense. So then for Nick Eatman and Dave Hellman, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?